Okay, can I have your attention? First of all, I want to welcome everybody to our forum this evening on the skate park design at Crowlot. I want to take care of a couple housekeeping items first, in case this is your first time here to the Gibson-Aiken Center. In the back of the building, where you see the exit sign, just before that, take a right. There's both men's and women's room, as well as a water fountain. I also want to point out on the side tables up here, there's some literature that's being handed out about tonight's forum, and there's also a sign-in sheet. Before we get started, I also want to thank the Basic Committee for all their hard work over the past couple years to getting us to the point that we are at this evening, to the project planning phase. At this time, it's my pleasure to talk about our design architect, who is Michael McIntyre from ASD, Action Sport Design, and Stantec. Mike brings a unique combination to over 150 successful public skate parks and BMX projects worldwide. He's a licensed landscape architect, and he was a former sponsored skateboarder and BMX rider. This is when you guys go woohoo, because it's impressive. He's a strong advocate of building community consensus on all of his projects. At this point, it's my pleasure to turn this forum over to Mike.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. Before we get started tonight, how many of you have been involved from the skateboard community in making this project happen? Fundraising process. We have about half the room here. All right. Of those that are here, how many are bikers? One. Skateboarders? Okay, so we got a primary. I like to kind of understand my audience a little bit more, so we're focusing there. Before we get started today with today's workshop, and I want to say that we're going to really focus on a kind of building a community consensus for the skate park design for those that intend to use the facility, what's important to the skate park, so that we really know what you guys want, what you don't want, what amenities we can put in, and then most importantly for general park users, other amenities, whether it's trash cans, drinking fountains, visual screening, whatnot. So it's not really a consensus where, here's the design today. It's more or less getting your feedback on what you'd like to see in the design. With that being the case, my background is primarily in skateboarding. Unfortunately, in the 80s, there really wasn't a lot of public concrete skate parks like you guys have access to or will have access to. So I've been working on public skate parks for the last 18 years. Most of our staff are also former professional skateboarders. Canton, who's also on the design team, made his career more in the urban street skating environment, the signature shoes and boards and whatnot. So Canton's involved on the project. Most of the projects we work on are in cold climates, as well, from the Midwest to the East Coast. It's just a brief list of parks that I've personally been involved in that have my stamp on them. So I know it's a little bit hard to see there. And if there's one thing I can emphasize today for the community that thinks that a skate park is going in this park, I really want to show some imagery from other cities that have done skate parks, to the point where some of the new parks we're doing for the city of Denver or Encinitas, California, we can't even legally call it a skate park. It's just a park you can ride in. They call them wheel-friendly environments. What that means is they're more aesthetically pleasing. There might be green integration with the drainage, the landscape, and how they're done. I'm going to show you one park we just finished for St. Cloud, Minnesota. It was touted as the world's first green skate park on the cover of the Tony Hawk's Foundation newsletter, which was just a plaza, not a bowl-style park. Just has 3 rain gardens, and we have the drainage, bioswales to collect all the water for that park. And you can see how we have the recycled granite going into the planters, so the actual drainage system becomes the skate park. So you can see the recycled granite benches, ledges, stairs, more integral color concrete, stamp brick. So once again, this is more of an open wheel-friendly plaza. So I just want to show some images, because there might be some conceptions that a skate park is these modular ramps above ground, loud, noisy, and not so much a park. There's another one in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, that was just opened, where you can see it's more of the plaza and walkways, and then the bowl area is more towards the back. So that's just kind of like a hybrid plaza.
And it's shaped like an egg.
Shaped like an egg. Here's the other park in Encinitas I was talking about, where you can see the perspectives where the kind of the sundial and the planter and the ledges and the different colored concrete, and then the bowl off to the side there. And that was, working with, all the top pros in San Diego. And ironically, it wasn't really, my style of park, but it was a park that was designed by the community. And that's what I want you guys to help us with. We're the facilitator. We're going to make sure that we have a park that's within budget, it's integrated, it's aesthetically pleasing, and it has the assets that you guys want incorporated. It was important on this project to have, sandblasted patterns that be a little bit more in tune with the ocean environment around there. This one is it's on the edge of a retention, Carlsbad, California, where we kept the bowls separate from the kind of the gateway plaza entry with the seat walls and culture stone walls, and incorporated more artistic elements in there. So it wasn't so much traditional back and forth ramp elements and gray concrete. This right here was a project that was funded by the Foundation of Health to Fight Child Obesity in Poplar Bluff, Missouri, where they donated $500,000 to it to get kids out in the streets, be active, incorporate public art, sculptures, bring in the colors of the historical art museum. And here you can see the the landscape planters. And this used to be a contaminated gravel parking lot. So hopefully some of these images that I'm showing you might be a little bit enlightening towards the perception of what a skate park is, or a wheel-friendly plaza. So you can incorporate the plaza. You can have your transitional radial walls in with sundial patterns and other artistic elements, looking through the horizon. So it could be an enhancement to a park setting. Another idea that's going around right now is more of a fitness park. So you have your skate park, but it also is multi-use with a center stage, seating area, exercise pathways around here, fitness stations, and you can kind of see how this particular park, to the skateboarders, they can see all the step-ups, gaps, and ledges in the plaza, but then at nighttime, it also turned into a stage. So no real particular park has a style that we work on. In other words, we don't have a signature style, we just have a signature result, and that's based on the community input for the design, what they'd like to see. In Cincinnati, one of the big concerns was, coming off the street, was we wanted something aesthetic, entering the park, areas for seating, exercise paths to walk around there. We wanted to actually even have a community garden space here and kind of unique playground elements before we got into the actual skate park. So this is Northside Cincinnati. So you can see how the park's incorporated there. This is Denver, Colorado, where they actually put this plaza around with the playground, the sports fields, and walkways. So you can see how it's actually becoming a little bit more common to integrate skateboarding with general recreation and fitness. There's a park in Staten Island, New York. That's just about to start construction. Nothing's higher than 3 feet, and they wanted to integrate it within Faber Park along the waterfront. The historic district of downtown Santa Fe, New Mexico, is another park that was highly complex and had to go through the Arts and Historical District review for color, Pantones, lighting, landscape approach as part of the El Parque del Norte project. Some parks have integrated seating, artwork there. So with that being the case, did anyone have any questions about those particular parks I showed you, or does that kind of help show you that skate parks are changing a little bit in terms of the dynamics, the color, the integration? No general comments right now about those projects? Okay.
Beautiful and exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
They look expensive.
You'd be surprised. The irony in a lot of those parks is splitting it up with working with a local general contractor to do staking, layout, rough grades, storm drains, kind of like building the cake, and then bringing in a specialty builder to do the pneumatically placed concrete, which was about 20% of the park. So a lot of those parks you saw are all built for under $30 a square foot. With your project, I know there's more of a pretty rendering, and I know at this point there was just a concept of a placeholder to have the skate park and the bowls towards the back there. So if we can kind of take this out of context to where it's located and talk more about the size, the size and the anatomy, and then try to bring that into context to the site, we can kind of see this makes sense based on the concept that was used as a placeholder. You know, you've got about 60% of it was kind of laid out as more of a skate plaza, kind of like those images I showed you where you had more of the flat work and the colors, you know, with the kind of gateway entry areas. Here, with the flow areas, bowl designs towards the back. And so that was the initial concept. Correct me if am I wrong on that?
That's right.
Is that about right? And I just put some images, you know, here's Encinitas and Carlsbad to show, you know, once again, bowls, enclosed bowls, or it could be an open flow area, and then more urban plaza coming in. But maybe not like raw urban plaza for the skaters like I'm talking, you know, like some of the parks we've done, more like if you saw that Poplar Bluff where there might be some radial walls tranning in there so you can still street skate, but you can flow through it and never have to hit your tail and ride through there. So they're more of a hybrid flow street plaza. Another comment I got is to really focus on something that is artistic or multi-use or might invite people who don't ride to be able to sit, spectate, and celebrate and enjoy what's being done. This was just a couple concepts that, you know, we have a pros and cons exercise. Did everyone get one of those sheets where it shows like concept A and concept B on the handouts over there? In addition to a questionnaire that I want you guys to fill out, I have a sheet that says pros and cons, A and B. And the purpose of the exercise is not to come here and say, here's your park, this is what I think you want. This is just to get reaction, to show you a couple concepts that do fit onto the site with different types of flow and different type of plaza, you know, configuration with different landscape elements. You know, parks that maybe haven't been seen before, or once again are not, you know, cookie cutter from another, you know, park. So with that, if we go back to the placeholder, you can kind of see coming off the street there was the skate plaza, and then there was the bowls. So one of the initial ideas, what I want to get a reaction on, is if the focus of this skate park was more of a park you can ride in or recreate, have more fitness, is to have more of a meandering walkway, you know, through the park to, you know, seating areas or planter areas, and then have more of your plaza, so you can still see you have your street lines for the plaza elements, stair set rails, you know, have a step up hips, and kind of like a big pump roller, and banks, you know, come down here, so you can still flow here, and then go into the bowl area. So that was kind of more of an open flow bowl. It could be closed off, and then this would be more plaza with different terrace, you know, nothing higher than 2 to 3 feet height in profile as you went through the space. But everything through there, every ledge, rail, stair set, gap, bump, volcano, bench, you know, all this would all be skatable elements through there. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about how a walkway can cut through a skate park safely?
Yeah. When I say that this is going to come through here, the one thing that this would do is these would come out into, which we haven't designed because I want to get a little bit more of the community input on seating those. This would spiral into a seating area here. From this side over here, this would come into a node, and then another node over here. So basically, you know, you want to not have any of that, you know, the skate elements too close to the plaza. This would be open more bench seating here, and then it would come off into seating areas. So a lot of those parks, even the Encinitas ones, they have it where the seating areas are broken away from the landscape, so the skaters, bikers can't really jump and skate along those benches, but they look like they're integrated part of the park. So they might be more of a rough or a granite block or bench, you know, cut natural stone. It could be boulders for seating. It could be, you know, more natural elements, you know, for it instead of traditional steel, aluminum bleachers and other elements. I was looking at possibly incorporating more earth elements of stone, rocks, and other things for seating into artistic patterns around the park. So just to give a quick flash, this was more of a meandering artistic path, because remember we got a big fitness walkway. If you go back to this one, there is a proposed kind of fitness path loop for walking. So we wanted to have it where the skate park walkway looks like it's coming through and looping, and then there is connection, throughout the park, so it doesn't look separated.
Mike?
Yes.
Let me just add that the walking loop path is it's just a concept. It's not part of the plan. It's something we'd like to see and like to have take place, but it's not concrete part of the plan.
Was that envisioned as paved walkway?
What's that?
Paved walkway?
It would probably be a gravel path, like a walking, not for skating.
So that was just one kind of concept where you have the ratio of plaza fitting in it with the flow, more the flow area, not as, I don't say traditional or predictable. And then the next kind of concept would be where you incorporate a little bit more of a central garden into it, where we could collect all the rainfall. So these would be kind of more your rain gardens, and we could also have more, obviously more walkways and seating area nodes. But this one would be more coming in and flowing through the whole park. So this would be all training flow through here. So you could actually loop the park and have it sculptural through there. So that would be kind of a different style. And for the pros and cons, you may say, I like this type of bowl situation or something that's more enclosed, and maybe have that wrapped around back here. Maybe there is no connection here. Maybe the bowl area just comes, back here. But I like a snake run area, separate or something like that. But you can kind of see the difference. This is kind of breaking out the quadrants into landscape areas, so you have more of a visual buffer here, and through the center of the park, as opposed to something that's more core and solid, where you got minimal, cuts in the landscape around the park. So those were just some concepts looking at how to integrate a park with both the plaza, the flow, and the bowls in there.
Question.
Yes. Yes.
I think I originally contributed the idea that there might be a walkway, that this might help enhance the park as a multi-generational facility. We don't have all that much parkland right near our downtown, and Crowell Park is important to many of us. So what I suggested was that the walkway go around the edge of the actual park grounds.
Okay.
In such a way as to invite people who are not skateboarding to come in, walk around, and if we do have a skate park, show off the skate park as an attraction, but give people intergenerationally a chance to interact with one another and prize the use of the park as a community asset.
Okay.
I would like, as I get older, still living near there, presumably, to be able, as an old codger, to walk around the park and appreciate all the different ages of people that are there. I'm a little concerned about the idea, which seems to float around, that this is going to be taken over by people's adolescents, young adults, or whatever, in certain ways and with certain consequences. What I would like to see is we're invited, we walk around there, we exercise our own vigilance over our neighborhood with the park as an extension of that. So that's why I was suggesting maybe the walkway could go around the perimeter of the park itself with very good, of course, sightlines and observation of the skate park. And I just wanted to put that out there because that idea was not precisely reflected in what we wanted.
Right. And I agree 100% with what you're doing. And if you see even some of the concepts that we do work on, is sometimes in the first workshop, we try to get a little bit more into the actual skate elements and by comments with the end users, and then towards the second meeting with the ideas that you have incorporated, start bringing in more. As you can see here in Cincinnati, that came up, your exact comment came up, where you can see now we got kind of a looping fitness pathway around there, even to the point where we had opposition on Live Oak, Texas. There's a senior center right next to it, and the big concern was we don't want the skate park, but then once the idea came about actually looping exercise and fitness pathways with fitness equipment around the trail and celebrate it, have seating areas where you can watch, you can stop, you can enjoy it, and then actually mix the user of the park, don't have it consolidated by one age group or one particular faction, And another big concern is accessibility. Have it where the park is ADA accessible. There is lanes through the entire park, and don't kind of segregate it just to kids that can recreate on their skateboard bikes. But a lot of wheelchair movement is going on as well.
So we wanted to have the walkway go around from the top of the embankment leading down the hill. Is there any reason why we couldn't do that?
At this point, any of the ideas that I was showing right here is just a placeholder without the landscape or site design on it. It's just the shell. These are all designed where literally you could have the pathways all looping through there, safely, and still add a lot of room for the landscape, planting areas. So when you're actually walking through a garden, that sometimes with art it's static, but with the kids moving through it, they become more dynamic art, moving through the different elements and doing the tricks down the stairs and whatnot. But this is a very across the sight lines. Nothing in there that you really see is higher than a 3 or 4 foot high profile. It might go down a little bit towards where the bowls and get deeper towards the back as it slopes down. I mean, you might be a lot deeper, but the actual street plaza elements through here, nothing's really undulating more than a 3 foot grade difference. Yes, ma'am.
How does the proximity of the trees affect the surface of the skate park? Like weeds, for instance, is what I'm thinking of.
It's not optimum when you have tons of leaves, but we've got a lot of parks that are heavily vegetated with trees going down there, and a lot of the people that are going to participate, they even bring some of their own brooms out of their cars and sweep everything and ride it, so they really kind of maintain it as a facility. So we're thinking of a concept where even if no one's riding in the park, it will be a nice looping kind of fitness pathway. It'll be aesthetically appealing, and there'll be some great internal planters and landscapes. So these walls here are 3 to 4 feet high around here, and then you got your materials and boulders within there to try to create more of a park setting instead of a skate park setting, if that makes sense. Once again, this is not the park. This is just to talk about just a vision and idea of doing more of a park you can skate in instead of what you might perceive as a skate park. Yes, sir.
In one of the pictures earlier, it showed that there was a bowl that was underground. How much of this would be sort of below the terrain level? And how does that affect the sound that might emanate from the different portions of it?
When it's a smooth trowel flash finish concrete bowl, and especially if you only had it dip in 2 to 3 feet in the ground, and it's built up, the acoustic studies are far less than tennis or other sports, because the smooth urethane on the concrete is very, very quiet. So when you get the ramps, you get that clang, 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 clang. They're very noisy, and that whole movement with doing ramps and steel ramps and whatever, that's gone. That era is gone. Most people, because the kids want to go out and ride the street. So one of the concepts to keep a park kind of timeless is to also create an environment where maybe they feel, I don't want to say a little bit naughty, but they feel like, oh my gosh, should I be skating in this plaza? Is this okay? Because everything's perfect. The stairs, the ledges, the granite, the colors. Is if you celebrate it, make it where it's aesthetically pleasing, it definitely, any of those parks, I can give you a directory of all the names or whatever, and all have the same story. The kids, kind of self-police it, take care of it, and because there's a diversity of user, you don't have a localized, environment. So, they find out where if you do have problems in a park, no one likes that's doing bad things in the park likes to stay in a park that they don't know who's coming in the park. They don't know who's who. So that's why it helps clean things up in some neighborhoods. And then the gentleman in the back's idea about having the exercise of the pathway connections around there too, where the community can walk through and diversify the age, the type of user for the park also really helps. Yes, ma'am.
So does one concept over the other make it easier for historical people people to walk through that area?
We can work with it. We can work with anyone, just like how you see these pathways on Cincinnati going around there. We can work on the park work going around it. I just wanted to get some feedback from the end users, the skaters that actually want to hit some of the stairs, the rails, the ledges, and the flow area. If you're more interested in more of a open or controlled flow area or bowl, or if you like something that has training through it, but you can continually loop through it. It's just an idea. Or you may say, hey Mike, I don't like this. I like that bowl I saw in Carlsbad, the Roman pool. Or I may like, something else like that. Or I like that Lake Geneva, the big flow course. And
Do you want that kind of feedback back now, or is that part of breakout groups?
we can talk about the A and B, concept vision for, if you guys want to start off talking about the flow area. And this is an open forum for more of the end users. If you guys want to talk about what you like.
Just off the top of my head, Northampton is a local park where we ran out of money, and there's a lot of undeveloped space within the footprint, and there's not quite the landscaping and artistry that we brought, but it just feels like within that particular vision, there's just a real waste of opportunity because there's skate areas and there's just nothing.
Right.
So whether it's an interconnected bowl or a general flow area, it seems like to maximize the vegetation cost of skate areas, it seems like an overall loss given that we're surrounded by it.
Right. So in terms of flow areas, out of all the transition skaters out there, more open, closed bowl, snake run, what? Yes, ma'am.
I represent very young skaters, so I don't know the terminology. I know that we've been visiting some of the skate parks in the area, predominantly ramps, but at Stratton Mountain there is a bowl. And the thing that my younger skaters really love, and I'm guessing this is what the flow is being able to make loops around and have undulations. I kind of liken it to when you're going skiing and the side of the trail, like the kids are always doing loop-de-loos.
Right.
On the side, like breaking into the trees and wanting to go up and down and in and out and then back onto the
Yes, they want to be able to pump through the park, loop it, and and maybe not forced to go down a set of stairs if the flow goes into the plaza, but they can keep flowing, through there.
So I'm talking 7 words.
Okay. Right. So something that'll accommodate all skill levels. Yes, ma'am.
Well, my grandson, I haven't skated for many years, but I did skate when I was younger. My grandson's 8, he's been skating for 7 years, and all he wants is a bowl.
Okay. Okay.
And I think to play off that idea of bowls with hard coping and rollings, looking at a variety of entry points, and one of the failures of the Northampton Park, as far as I'm concerned, is that there's no middle ground. So it's a street course and then a really good wall.
Right.
So the one thing we've all been in agreement with, however it plays out, is that there's ample opportunity for every level of progression.
Right. Yeah, that was just one of the ideas with this being a little bit more of a, I don't want to say a low impact park street area where it does get steep and deep towards the back, but for the first timers you can pump over this roller and go in here, go over here, pump. You can exit out, but you're not going to get stuck in the bowl. But if you want to get stuck in here and and whip around and flow here, you can if you want. So it's kind of like if you want to treat it like a bowl, you can. If you want to just treat it where there's some areas. If you want to go back and forth, like a half pipe, you can sit here all day if you want. If you want to blast over from hip to hip to hip to flowing through here as a skateboarder, or you can. So that was just one of the philosophies with that. Instead of having a rigid, here's your bowl, here's the street plaza, have it a little bit more seamless, for Brattleboro, because it doesn't really exist. It's really, you can see with some of the other parks, they're kind of going that area, but they really haven't had a lot of more integration with the landscape. I mean, some of these areas too, we can also work with the earth and have them slightly mounded, bermed with some terrace seating in there too. So the seating doesn't have to be hard. It could be like this in Etney's park as the landscape architect for in Orange County, where we just put the blocks into the grass area. I know that's a little bit more steep, but there's also areas or pockets where grade can be lifted up to 3 feet with some blocks in it for seating, so you get a little bit elevation, but it also works for a little bit of noise or visual buffers, or some artistic mounding going through the park to make it a little bit more artistic. But at the same thing, for the skateboarders, you can see, despite all the landscaping and art, there's like some hard straight lines, through the park. So they're a little bit masked by the colors and the shape. But if you took that away and made it just a gray, rectangle, you can see where those lanes are. Yes, sir.
Could you just take a minute and tell us what the design process is? So you're here tonight, you're going to gather information, you go back, analyze it, put together something, and then come back to Broward,
Yes.
present? Do we meet
Yes.
like this at
Yes.
some point?
Yes. And so the next meeting, which did everyone get a meeting agenda here? You can see right where it says 7:30 to 8 o'clock on the agenda, right there. The next meeting, what we're going to try to set is, I think it was let me see. Carol, is the 25th still work good? Same time, same location? Because what we want to do is keep chipping away at the process and start creating something that we know what we're looking at and what integrates and what really says something unique to Brattleboro. The next meeting is the 25th, but more importantly, down below for October 16th, you can see where it has a website, and then I've given a username and a password where the username is Brattleboro, password's grind. When you go to the website, on the top right, there'll be a login button, and you can type in Brattleboro and grind October 16th. That way, these concepts are going to be more site-specific with ideas like the walkways, the mounding, seating, the type of bowl preferences, transition preference, street elements. You got to say, I want a kicker to kicker. I want to see a flat bar in there. I want to see, a 6-stair, 4-stair. We're going to talk about those elements so I can put them in there and try to make something that's going to be pretty aesthetically pleasing. And then also show it in a 3D model, like you saw at Carlsbad and other parks, so you can see it in perspective, and we can even superimpose it on the site so you can see what it might look like. And then that way we kind of know what we're opposing, what we like, what we don't like, or and we may say this works, it doesn't work. But at least we've gained some input on what the end users want, what some of the community would like to see. Yes, sir.
Just one other question. You mentioned the hiking 3 feet for different parks. Is that just for aesthetics? Does that allow? My concern is noise and things of that nature. How does one design around that? Because of the 3-foot limit, or?
No, it was just a preference for the street skaters. If it's 3 feet, each foot is 2 6-inch risers. So the skaters, when they say I want to jump down a 6-stair, they're not saying 6 feet. They're saying 3 feet. So it's more of a ratio for street skating or elements in there. But in terms of noise pushing through, I mean, I don't know if anyone has a skateboard who wants to roll on a smooth finish. It's pretty quiet.
Well, what about the jump?
I think he's talking about just build up the site.
For the sight line, it's 3 feet, but then you can drop down further.
Right. So you would have, I see what you're pointing. So more of the urban plaza area here coming in, there might be a great difference where maybe this right here, this is elevation 0, let's say, and this might be +3. So almost like a little raised platform area here that drops down 3 feet. These bowls right here from 0 may go down another 3-4 feet. So your bowls might be 6 feet down here, and then the corners might be raised up for another 2 feet. So you might have 6, 8, 9 in some areas. But across the horizon, if you're standing from the street looking out there, nothing should really be protruding out of the ground higher than that, because you don't want to have this big obtrusive element. You really want to make it look like it's an authentic, plaza or something sculptural in there, and not have this albatross of ramps and elements sticking out. Yes, sir.
My name is Spencer Crisp, and some of the thoughts that I've had is we want to make maximum use of the space that we have. We only have about 10 to 11,000 square feet worth of space, and in my mind, we want to make maximum skatable use of that. Now, aesthetics are certainly important, but we don't want to compromise the amount of features that we are going to be able to use, because we have such a precious, limited amount of space. In conjunction with that, we're in Brattleboro, Vermont. a town of 13,000 people. We're not Cincinnati, Ohio, or a borough of New York City. So
Right.
we already have a lot of, we're not taking out any trees. There's already a lot of maple trees. There's already a lot of green to go around. So with only a precious 10 or 11,000 square foot of space, I would, as a skateboarder, I would like to not see space that can be used for skateboarding too much go to like a rock garden or a walking path, because there's plenty of that to go around. In Burlington, Vermont, they had a similar issue where there was a very limited amount of space for the skate park, and almost a full quarter of it was used for a gazebo, which was the most pointless thing ever, because that could have been used for more ramps and more skatable features. Because we don't want to condense things so much that it becomes a safety issue where people are cutting each other off, people are colliding. We need to have enough for the, especially if we're going to have an open concept bowl where people can go right into it, come out of it. So it's not a crash up derby factor. We need to make use of our space. So I think that, in terms of, and that also begs the question, if we have a walkway, an aerobic path or whatnot, does that cut into the quota of our 10 to 11,000 square foot of space, or is that additional? Same thing with bleacher style seating or blocks or whatever. Is that going to be negated out of our quota of space, or is it above and beyond? Because that makes a huge difference. I don't want to see a walking path go through and around the skate park that's taking precious square feet out of the amount of space that we have to skate, because that we don't have a ton.
Right, and one of the ideas was, whatever park it is, for example, I remember like back in 2003, I did a project. It was called the DC Plaza in Kettering, Ohio, and it was like, we got a 40,000 square foot skate park. It was only 22,000 square feet. We exploded it out and created. It was like where everyone was just doing a big empty koi pond, gray pond, all that, all the parks where it's like, well, wait, we don't have the budget, but we can explode it out and then kind of control some of the lanes. So, will there be 10,000 square feet of skatable surface in the park? Yes. Is it gonna be condensed within just a 10,000 square footprint? Probably not, if that makes sense. So then that way, instead of squishing it all in, we can maybe expand some of the lanes to keep. That's what I was thinking. Maybe this needs to be closed off here or whatever. But if we can kind of control some of the lanes and flow, so you don't get that crisscross traffic, and also kind of appease a little bit of the community, because you do have a major road there going by. When people are going by, like, wow, that's a pretty cool garden. What are people are riding through it. So we'll kind of work on both ends. But yeah, every inch of that 10,000 square feet, we want to make sure it's skatable.
And I think that's great, and that helps clarify. That's really good to know, that I think it can be mutually work for both things, the aesthetics and the skatable amount of square feet.
Right.
That's good to know. The other thing I just wanted to chime in about is with regards to transitions. That can be everyone's worst nightmare if the transition is, one thing, the lady back there brought up what's called the Bonneville Bowl up in Stratton, and everything within that facility, the transitions like almost go to vert. It could be, and are incredibly steep, and I would like to see transitions in keeping with the idea of newer skaters and beginners having a spot to hone their skills and learn on, having transitions that are not too steep, too quick, and sketchy, kind of more some middle ground of transitions.
You want the backyard nose scraper when you drop in?
Something that's not 0 to vert in 3 feet.
Right.
So just keeping the transitions relatively mellow, and also having, I'd like to see coping on a lot of the features too. Like, there's certain parks that have, I was out skating the Venice Park, which is one of the best parks in the world, in Venice, California. But there's certain parts of that park that have like no coping.
Right.
And I think, coping for grinding and for everything like that is great. I mean, it's great to be able to have flow and go everywhere, but, having a nice hearty portion of coping throughout the park for grinding purposes would be good.
Okay. Makes sense. Yes, in the back.
I have one idea for a feature.
Okay.
I saw it at the Wellfleet Skate Park.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a concrete dune.
Mm-hmm.
Way. They're really fun to walk on.
So I'm hearing coping. If we do have transition, we don't need backyard pool, elliptical, tranny, super hard to skate. I mean, you might have some some banked or jersey barrier or wall or some something that's a little bit challenging in some areas, but in terms of regular transition areas where you're not forced to have to drop in maybe, or something can roll in and grind. In the way back.
Yeah, I have one thing. There's a lot of young skaters that are really about this park, but I do want to mention that the Brattleboro Boys and Girls Club skate park isn't going anywhere, and there is that area for them. I do want to, and I want to stress about the older kids that already have all that experience from the Brattleboro skate park and what this park means to them. So, I guess just that.
Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to say that this small piece of land is also going to continue to contain a playground for 5-year-olds, basketball court, and a kickball, baseball field. And it's very small space, so we need to factor in all these other pieces.
The comment was about the program of the overall park with the basketball court, the playground, and other amenities. How this would tie in and affect the programming of the rest of the park. So that's a very good point with the court and where other things are going to go. The orientation, where there is seating or no seating for basketball, there is no seating for other activities. How we could kind of co-migrate some seating areas for both activities, and also circulation, through the park. It sounds like the fitness path or exercise path might be something that gets planned out in addition to the skate park, so we can see contextually how everything ties in. I know tonight you're just seeing this little green bubble, and then there's really not you can't even see the court in, and the pathways and other things like that. So would everyone agree maybe in the next meeting we do more of a contextual plan so you can see how things kind of all tie in together? Would that help? In the back?
Yeah, that was precisely what I wanted to suggest. That the plot that's allocated for the skate park is maybe 1/4 of the total land in the park. And we in the neighborhood think of it as a park. And we would like to see the interrelationship between the skate park and what else is there. They've had some very interesting events in the skate park right there on the basketball court.
Right.
I mean, to promote the skate park, we've had skating events in there. Can there be a paved connector? So there can be a spillover into there just to use flat surface, which a lot of people can do a lot of things with flat surface.
Right. That's
about all I used to do. I wasn't really tricky with bowls and ramps and things like that. But skateboards are fun on flat surfaces too.
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to see this integrated, and when we get another drawing, explain the interrelationships between the different types of park. And there's one more thing. I have a reason for suggesting the walkway around the edge. Over by Union Hill, it's too steep for anything to happen below that embankment. But back behind where you want to put the bowls, there's quite a bit of land there that is not too steep for people to congregate. And people do congregate there for illicit activities sometimes. There's a lot of unauthorized and undesirable recreation use of this sort of hidden area of the park. And it would be nice to have that walkway go along the peak there, because when we walk through the park, and we would probably choose to do that very often, there would be a lot more informal supervision of what goes on in the whole area.
Right, and what you bring up is the best parks and the most successful parks are the ones that are inviting for the community. For when you go to a park, a lot of problems with skate parks is their destination. There's a gray rectangle there with a chain link fence, and there's nowhere to sit. If you're a parent, there's nowhere there. I mean, why are you even going to hang out there? Because there's nothing else there. If you can have something where there's a little bit of something, for the family or community, where maybe you can sit down, read a book while the kids are, riding through the park, and, in more of a wheel-friendly environment, and not so much, this perception of a raw, hard skate park, teenage only, to the, guys like us in our 40s, crowd skating. Yeah, but definitely having circulation around the back, and also creating recreation towards the back of the park will definitely help, I think, with some of the activity. Not help, but I think prevent, just because there's going to be more diversity in there. Yes?
if you could go back to the diagram where you had the street and that one right there. So when we laid this out, the green area there, the original idea was to have. Well, it's kind of a question for you, but I can also do some informational concept behind this. I'm Adam Hubbard, and I've worked extensively on this, and I'm a landscape architect, but I'm not a skater, and so we're really happy to have a professional skate park designer who can answer a lot of the questions. I guess my question for Michael is that when we originally laid this out, we thought it would make sense to have a beginner area and an advanced area, and we sort of parceled out the front end as the beginner area, but through conversations in the community, the residents on Union Hill here and across Western Ave are very concerned about noise, and so it was brought up, does it make sense to have more of the flow and bowls maybe up towards the front as a noise mitigation technique? So I guess it's two questions. Does it make sense to have a beginner area and an advanced area? And then would it make sense to reverse our original concept?
Good question, Adam. My personal advice and experience would be to not really have a quote-unquote beginner, intermediate, and advanced zone where it's not like skiing, because for me, I don't jump downstairs, and for some of these younger kids, that was the easiest thing in the world, and then for me, the big bowls is second nature. So it's not really. I would recommend having more of the authentic urban plaza entry flat work. So when people do drop their boards and they're pushing through the park, they're pushing through, they're rolling away from the street for safety. You kind of want them entering the park this way and having more of the activity in the central, and then going towards the deeper bowls, towards the back. So you don't have people coming in and then fighting the bowls in the middle and then going around, to the plaza. So I think your initial layout is pretty good for how you did it. I just think the entry to this park needs to almost not look like a skate park, but to the skateboarders as they transcend in through the park, they see in the distance, the stairs, the ledges, the elements, and it's more attractive. So the noise activity. But if this is raised up 3 feet and someone jumps down 3 sets that are a 3 foot high set of stairs, and let's say they kick their board or the board's bouncing down, it's better to have that noise happen on this side, on the opposite side of that 3 foot stair set, than have it happen the opposite direction where the noise would project towards the street. I mean, the cars are going to be noisier, but I just think watching kids go with their backs going away from the street, more into the area would probably be a better idea. And for the noise, yes, sir.
When this gentleman made the comments about wanting to make sure you maximize the utilization of, pardon my voice, jeez, of skateboarding surface, and your response was, regardless of how it's laid out, there will be 10,000 square feet of actual skateboarding surface, right?
Right, yeah, that would.
Okay, now the question that I'm asking is, what that does then, when you try to expand and have green space within it, you actually expand the total footprint of the entire skate park portion, but you diminish the size of the larger park. Have you played with an imagery of, if you were to concentrate the skateboarding facility within itself, concentrating it, compressing it? I mean, there's always that danger, of course, pushing it back in the corner, which you're tempted to do for sound, but in terms of safety and oversight, supervision. But that would make a smaller footprint and allow the park, the larger park, to be less interfered with.
Okay, that's a good point. We could look at that. This was just kind of in spirit. It's not quite there because there is some open spaces, through here to kind of break it up and make the first part of the skate park not really look like a skate park. This was a little bit more consolidated, where you can see your point where it's thin, and then if you go out a little bit fat, and bring the landscape cutouts this way, yes, it does widen.
But if you were to do what I was suggesting, or at least wondering about, you don't even need to have sort of the entrance of the skate park begin until you get in 20, 30, I don't know, 40, 50 feet. So you can have a park right along Western Avenue and have the concentration of the entire skate park in a smaller footprint and allow the park to exist on its own as such.
Right.
I would like to take that opportunity to clarify between Spencer's comment and for Michael's information here. There is we are restricted in the overall footprint. It is highly important that we stay away from the trees, that row of trees along the eastern edge, where the lease boundary is that row of big trees between the basketball court and the playground. And so the 10,000 square feet is limited by those trees and limited by these trees, and also limited by, we've also agreed to pull away from the edge of the bank where the residences are. So that 10,000 square feet, we can't explode too far.
Right.
Just so everybody knows, pulling that 10,000 square feet and spreading it over a large area is only partially feasible. You know, it has to happen within a particular area here.
Well, I was suggesting the opposite, which was to compress and have it spread out over a smaller segment of square footage if it was over.
Because then you get down like a rectangle, like a tennis court type
Right,
thing,
right.
which
Or
isn't as
whatever shape
aesthetically
it
as
might be.
nice.
Right.
It's not aesthetically as nice, but it spills over into the rest of the crow lot less. is what
Yes,
you're- yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So this, I mean, shy of where this might have, if you do a hard line here, you can see there'd be a hard edge here. It doesn't actually have to be, you know, per se that doesn't work, does it? Oh man, sorry about it. But you can see, you know, maybe we work with what your suggestion is, and then even if you took out, let's say that area there, this is almost like a horseshoe landscape, so the walkway kind of meanders through. So it's not like I'm walking right into the park. So this could have even a little bit of landscape mounding, or, you know, something a little bit more of a relief, so you feel like you're walking in through the park. And then we keep a hard edge here, and then maybe there is some cuts, you know, through here if we're getting it past the 10,000 square feet.
And what I was saying I didn't want to see a rock garden eat up 500 square feet of what we have when we could have had 2 more quarter pipes instead of that rock garden. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't, Adam, the total amount of our 11,000 square foot skate park only 17% of the crow lot? Is that correct figure?
No, yeah, I'm glad you asked that. The question is what percentage of the crow lot is covered by the skate park. And actually, the skate park covers 2.5% of the entire lot. It's a 5-acre lot, and 5% of the open area, the 2.5 acres. It's a 5% coverage of. I'm gonna put the microphone down here. It's 5% of the area that sort of is encircled by the tree line. And okay, so this area is sloping, but this area here is 2.5 acres, and this is 10,000 square feet. So that's about 5% of that area.
That's an important thing.
It's
for
really,
everyone to know.
Well, but you've got that big line of bushes and a lot of
Right.
that hill there that's not used.
Not usable,
Right,
right.
right.
So it really.
It is more.
Usable space.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it was 10%, that's still not a lot.
It could be 10% of just this area, right here.
Yes, sir.
I have a comment. I think relevant to the comment that this gentleman made, it seems like what we're seeking is a happy medium between keeping an area that is functional and safe, and then not giving the suggestion of sprawl. And the one thing that I am trying to bring out as a skater, I've been to a park in Pittsfield, and I don't know what the decision-making was behind the bowl, but I found that bowl to be very difficult to skate and very small. And I would hope that decisions that would be made to maximize space and shrink elements so as to not take overall space are somehow like put in the mix of like having them be ample enough to...
We'll attribute that to Who Skates Ball. We did not design that bowl. Yeah, we helped out with some of the construction details. We did not approve the methodologies, but that's a whole different story.
But you know what
But
I'm
I know
talking
exactly what you're saying. Look at all the bowls from, you know,
Yeah.
I've done over 95% of all the parks in Arizona to, you know, all the big parks all the way down to Tony Hawk's backyard or whatever, and yeah, that's not my type of bowl. So,
Because I guess to your point, I would rather see a bird bath that's gentle and usable
right.
than something.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that anything be minimized to less than what was already configured, just the configuration of it. Absolutely not.
Yes, sir.
In terms of,
Oh, I'm sorry.
go ahead.
Okay, right back there.
I have an idea for like a ramp. One time when I was skating in Bonneville Bowls, on the curve, they have like a wave. Like it slopes up and then it goes around the bowl and then it goes back down.
Okay.
And it has like the coping on the top.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd like to see that because that was one of my best times there for using that.
And to extend his idea, have you been to that park?
No.
So there's really very little horizontal space. Almost all of the platforms are banked, and then there's rollers and bumps all around, and some of them are actually built into real rocks. So I think the suggestion is, it is really fun. Unfortunately, it goes straight to overburden, which makes it unusable for pro. But
yes, sir.
One thing I'd like to see, in addition to what I said about the coping and the moderation of the transitions, would be some kind of a banked wall stair set. So you've got maybe, usually it's like maybe 6 stairs, and the left side of the 6 stairs is a very steep banked wall. So sometimes you can like wall ride down the stairs, you know what I'm talking about?
Right.
Or even if you have coping on top of that wall, or some kind of metal on top of the wall, you can wall ride to 50-50 grind, and back to the wall, down the stairs, or ollie the stairs. I always liked that feature. That was a feature out in some Seattle parks that I skated, and it was a lot of fun. So I think that'd be neat. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, came the original one came from Cal Poly State University, and like the old Hocus Pocus videos, H Street, where you see the stair set, like the wall jam, and then I think I put the first one like in Tempe, Arizona, in the park. We got the bank wall and the stair set going in into it, so you don't have to go down the stairs. You can kind of slappy ride down.
Yeah,
down the wall. Okay,
that'd be a great feature.
I like that.
Hocus Pocus is a great feature.
And if you watched Shackle Me Not, that was my Rampage mount in the back here. So now you know all that. Wheels of Fire, Santa Cruz video.
Nada spins around on the mud of the fire hydrant.
Yep. Raging Waters Boomer Ramp was my job to skate. Got paid ice cream and admission, and there's no money in pro skateboarding in '86. And Santa Cruz was giving everyone pro models. Can't go down a set of stairs. Corey O'Brien, you got a model. Spidey, nice slide. You got a model. You know, badge. Mike, it's like, no, I'm going to college. Bye. All right. Any other element ideas in the far back?
Yeah, our experience one time in Bethel, Maine, a nice skateboard park. Unfortunately, when it rained, it was almost totally unusable based on the puddles. And I was just curious in terms of drainage and how that can be
all our parks drained. We get a geotech report. We know where the groundwater is, and we know that water flows downhill. So we make sure the in-road elevation.
It's more puddles, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of parks that do have poor drainage in them, because it's more about go out and build it and shoot it, and no one's really testing the groundwater, or no one's actually using a transit or even a level to make sure you work backwards for the drainage. Yes, sir.
I'm going to share this with you. This is a picture of the Kroll Mansion. And I know it's a little bit esoteric, but I feel like in the heritage of the actual spot, there's some really crazy arches, and you talked about a volcano. And it might be interesting if we could adapt some of the features and bring a little bit of the history into...
For the arches on the porch area?
Or some porch, or
roof,
maybe adapt some
roof
of
lines.
those roof lines and some of those gables, and, just as another piece of data.
Nice idea.
Yeah. If there was something signature in this park to Brattleboro, can you guys think of any elements that you might like to see incorporated in there that might be, skatable in there?
Definitely.
Yes.
There's a spot downtown, right up behind Main Street. That's it's the parking lot to the local Shriners building.
Okay.
And it has, I don't skate, so I don't know what the particular appeal is, but it has a bank the parking lot doesn't end and have a wall, it has a banked area and that's curved around. If there could be some way to, I think, to incorporate Shriners in, I hear a lot of
The
people.
Shriner Bank?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that what you call it? I don't know.
You need to see the Shriners.
Okay, I will go there.
It's like,
Can
it
you
could
skate
be its
there,
own
or is it
skateboard.
a,
No
how do
comment.
you leave
No
it?
comment.
I will just bring my camera, but if anyone has
It's the
a
best
board-
parking lot ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you need to see
I'll
it.
just play, you know, I'm from San Diego, what do I know?
Best parking lot ever.
I also think it might be worth taking a look at the Boys and Girls Club, because that gives you a little bit of advantage of what the people who've been skating here for 20 years have sort of learned on.
Okay.
So there's that high wall, there's just a few elements that I think people can take their skill set and bring it to the outdoor public park.
Boys and Girls Club, the Shriner Bank, and back there.
How I found out about the Shriners Bank, anyway, there was a professional BMXer, I'm not sure who it was, but they had a shot in a magazine of like going off the bank and planting on the wall of the building, and that's how we found out about it. But yeah, just like a curved bank, like quarter pipe-ish thing. It's basically what it is. I think it's for like drainage. I'm not sure.
And for those who don't skate, what they're talking about is skateboarding is very much an adaptive effort. So there's a lot of what if. I wonder if I can jump down these stairs. There's a little bit of embanked concrete. I wonder if I could ride up that. It's not that people want to go and vandalize. They just don't have anything to recreate on. And the irony of a few years back, I remember Nike had a commercial where they had a couple playing tennis on the tennis court, and then the cops break into the tennis court, and everyone drops their racket and starts climbing the fence and running, cops, and it's just kind of making a spoof where it's just, skateboarders, everyone just wants to recreate, they want to ride, and that's their method of fitness, but it's illegal. So they're just trying to get a place to ride legally, and we want to make sure that it's, one of the best spots around. In the very far back.
I'm wondering about the possibility of like movable pieces, like boxes. Is that something that you deal with, or is that a liability thing? Or?
We start getting into a little bit of a situation of liability. I mean, the key is that what we do put in there, it's not how many features we have in there, but what we put in. We got to make sure it's the best set, the best ratio. As you guys know, that Ride Street. There's a one spot here in Spain, the one spot in San Francisco, the one, it's not so much, I went to this park and there's 20 elements I hit, it's like everything in there was just the perfect ratio. So you can have the best park in the world with only, 3 elements in there, or a sculpture or a spot, if it's done right. And I think what we can do is, with this park, is really focus on everything in there is the right ratio. If you're going to go down a rail, it's the right ratio, the right stair set, the right smoothness of concrete, no joints at the top of the stair. You do it after the stair, not before the stair. Make sure that every integral construction detail in here is, flawless, for riding. Little guy.
In Poland, when I was at vacation, I saw a skate park with 2 ramps coming up to me at one spot at the top, and there was it looked like a really good spot because I saw a lot of skaters do like giant 360 ollies on one side to the other side, and it's
It was like almost like a bank. I don't want to say like a hip
Yeah.
pyramid or edge. Like you put one in. Let me go back here. I'll show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Right back here. It's very hard to see, but this right here is a big triangle hip pyramid. So come down here. Everyone's supposed to be doing big kick flips, the fake heat and whatever from one side to the other, and it kind of kicks up the hip. And that one right there is all like a stamp brick as well. So I like that idea. So just anything that's kind of sculptural, or it doesn't have to be so literal. Like here's a half pipe. It could just be a triangle sticking out of the ground from the corner that's got perfect hips. Yes, sir.
Will you come to the site and walk the site with some of the folks around the place who are concerned about the park, and also with people who want to give you ideas of the park that depend on the lay of the land, and so that you can visualize what other people might have visualized for that?
Yeah, Carol, I don't have a problem with that. If we wanted to set up a time before the next meeting, if you want to meet out on site at 5 o'clock or something an hour before, I have no problem for those that want to attend and make a site tour, and we can walk. And then also, I can even bring some of the concepts in advance to show where some of those pathways or connections or how the overall park might work as a system, so we can discuss. Because I think that's one thing that I'm hearing that's very common is just how critical it is for this plaza to be integrated and connected are kind of the two words of tonight's meeting. I keep on hearing that we got to have it connected, it's got to be integrated, and it's got to be not be segregated, separate. It needs to be part of the system, and it needs to be a little bit more seamless connection, between the elements, not so rigid. But also, like you brought up, this gentleman here, keep it condensed, keep it within the area, so we can keep that maximized area, but maybe make it more of a linear park down that corridor, which might make sense, and then have some breakout areas where we can play with the grade. It doesn't have to be flat dirt all the way around it. If we have a little bit of cut here for some bowls, we can have a little bit of fill, and so we get a little bit more play with more terrain art around the park. Yes.
Based on this discussion, what would you say the ratios are between flow and plaza?
I'm hearing about 60% street and about 40% flow / hybrid flow. So it could be sculptural, but it's not like a literal bowl or a snake run. It's more about a hybrid flow. So I'm talking tranny walls, banks. So if you have a stair set, you got street, but you've got banks on the both sides. So if you want to go downstairs, great. If you want to ride up and down the stairs, it's there. If you want to have benches coming out of China bank type elements, whatever. So it's more of a hybrid, but then it goes into something that's a little bit more serious, with the flow.
I'd like to see more flow.
Okay.
Is that 55, 40?
I would like to personally, but I don't count. This is your park. Yes, sir.
I don't know if you've seen the Bristol Skatepark in Connecticut. But,
Bristol?
Bristol, Connecticut.
Bristol, made by California?
I have no idea whose stamp is on those plans and who designed it.
Wally Holiday.
I did. California did the shotcrete. A local GC built it, but I was the architect for Bristol. So
That's a really nice park. It has a lot of flow around. You can ride around the skate park. It's got a nice walking path around. It's got a lot of integration with the landscaping, like the rocks on there that you can also skate. And that would be handrails.
And it did have a little bit of landscaping around it too, some areas in the V with a kind of broken area, and it did win an ASLA landscape architecture award as well for Connecticut. So that worked out pretty well. And Kent Russell is on the design team. He worked on it as well, doing the construction documents. Yes, sir.
Barry brought up something that actually carried a lot of insight, and that is the park in Northampton. They ran out of funding part of the way through. This project is a completely privately funded project, and so some of the limitations placed upon it as far as its construction are concerned is going to be based on how much money we're able to raise. So one of the things that I'm concerned about and have been since the beginning is designing something that is going to be not just half of a structure or not just half of a park, because in the process of developing it we ran out of funding to do some of the landscaping or something like this. So if there's a way to design something that might be feasible or something like that, that's something I think to keep in mind.
Right, and also we can help out. I know you have your funding campaign right now, but as you guys start getting a concept that you're proud of and start improving upon it, we can help out put together some I don't want to say pretty crazy fundraising packages, and all the way down to with your brick programs to whatever. Obviously, we can't have any guarantees on where funding goes through, but we've been pretty successful. I'm personally, myself, from if you look at most of the Tony Hawk grants and you look at some of the recent parks who got money, even down to the Seymour, Connecticut, they just got the 5 and 5, Madison, Wisconsin, and come this last round, our office in San Diego was literally across the street from the foundation, and so Mickey Vukovic, those guys were in our office all the time, and Peter Whitley. So we got pool there. Nike, DC, Foundations for Help, CDGB, City Block Grant funds. I worked through with multiple grants. So, and the number one thing with getting money is we have this raised, here's the gap, And if you don't have the gap, no money comes. So many people are like, we want to fundraise, like, but you already got money. They're like, no, this is what we could have, and we're so close to that gap. And you guys have done an amazing job. As a matter of fact, I want everyone to give each other applause. This is amazing for what you raised. It's one of the better community efforts I've seen. I mean, it resonated all over across the U.S. I mean, everyone in California knew about Brattleboro. So. Yes, sir.
Let him go because
Okay.
we want to focus on the design.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like really, I mean, this has been a many-year effort, and everyone involved in the effort we're all volunteers.
Right.
We've spent literally, it's countless hours, no exaggeration to say that, trying to make this happen. And we're up to about $100,000 now. We still have a ways to go, and I think that, I know this is a design meeting and so forth, but if not now, into the future, if there is some insight and input you can give to our group, Basic, about amping up or ramping up the, pun intended, the fundraising, like
right.
that would be great. Just because this is a small community, there's not a plethora of corporations and deep-pocketed entities all around, and the ones that are get hit up repeatedly for everything all around, and so we're limited with that regard by being in a small community. So I mean, if you can help us with get creative with that and give us some ideas that maybe we haven't thought of, that'd be great. Because the way I see it, we've done a lot of the preliminary work, jumped through all dozens of hoops, getting permits, approval, leases. We've done that. Now we have a designer. We're in good hands with you. I feel very confident with you. So the way I see it, the single most important thing above all else right now is money and fundraising. Because without it, we're not going to have a skate park. Everything else, for the most part, seems to be in place. So we're getting there. We're doing well. But if your insight and expertise can be put forth with that would be great.
Right, and I'll just say one comment before we jump into more open forum. All the parks I worked on that had no money or ended up getting the funds, no money ever came about for a first skate park that I worked on until people saw the proof of the community workshops, the meetings, the actual design that's embraced in that 3D form. Once you have that to say, yes, this was designed by the community, this is what the community wants, this is what they fundraised, this is what it's going to look like, this is what's unique about it. A lot of people don't want to give money, and it's like, hey, here's money for a skate park. I mean, I can't believe you guys raised money saying that we're doing a skate park. As soon as you change the paradigm where we're doing a fitness park, or now we're doing the new wheel-friendly plaza, or the accessible environment, or, we've had to twist it so many ways. All of a sudden, oh, shoot, here's a few $100,000. I had no idea you were going to help fight child obesity. And then also there's this grant here. And so it's really unique where money comes through just by changing your paradigm of how you fundraise. I mean, I can respect and appreciate that you're doing a skate park and you can skate in it, but maybe if it's a little bit inviting for if someone wants to roll through there on a wheelchair, and there's 80 accessible lanes through there. Now you're doing, Vermont's doing their first accessible, park, and that's a huge statement for those. We're doing the Ace Skate Foundation. For some of the skateboarders may be familiar with a lot of the fundraising campaigns with the Ace Skate Foundation with Chris Worley in Birmingham, Alabama. We're working with her and Peter doing the design for Birmingham. Been working on it, donating time for years getting that park going, and all of a sudden there's money available working with autistic youth. They're having clinics working with autistic youth and use it for skateboarding, just like you would with horseback riding as a pressure release and whatnot. Literally getting the kids on the skateboards, holding hands, kids sitting on their butts going down those slopes or whatever. Just the smiles, the exhilaration, the pressure release. And so there's always any story you can put towards a park. Unfortunately, then you hear the negative or the sad part. Such and such memorial skate park because someone got killed. Then funds come through. So there's a common theme where if there's something that's helping support more than just getting some skaters into a park and creating a unique environment, and maybe it's just for the pure aesthetics. Maybe it's because you're getting more people out into the park that you didn't before. Money starts coming from other sources. I know you've got your hand up forever. Sorry about that.
I was thinking about, we're talking about the flow and also people being worried about going in and out of an open bowl too quickly, possibly utilizing like a snake run in and out of the bowl to connect the bowl to this more street type elements. and I wanted to know what other people also thought of that.
Oh, what's the opinion about kind of the closed versus open, or having something connected more where it's kind of snaking in?
So I think the sneaker we wouldn't have as much, like if people were worried about people really bombing right into that opening or bombing out into the other section, it would kind of slow that section down a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to have it where the bowl becomes where you kind of get flushed out, kind of like a bowl. Literally, like everyone's from, it's almost like the old skate park with the fun box in the middle. Everyone runs for the fun box and crashes into each other. Where you got the plaza, and then you've got where the bowl is, where everyone has to end up to turn back around. That's when you run into problems. So if you did have something that can boomerang, or you're not forced to go in the I don't say toilet, but you know what I'm saying. Literally, you don't have to go in the bowl.
Just because I know when I went to the Southwest a couple of times, like here alone, they had some connection to one of the bowls. So it was a kind of nice, little nice aesthetic, and you can also use that for, some of the bank-to-bank transitions as well.
Before I forget, I'm going to reiterate too, is we're in agreement that we're going to walk the site at 5 o'clock as a community open forum. We can walk around and talk about the overall park. On the 25th, that would be October 25th at 5 p.m. And so the meeting time on the agenda, the only alteration we had put, we'll also post that up on the website on your password protected site on the 16th too. We'll put that. Please meet at the Crowell Park at 5 o'clock for the community members to walk. And I know Adam, the landscape architect for the park, will be present as well too, as long as Carol, myself, and I'd love to hear everyone's experience about the park, and hopefully we can turn it into a vibrant space. Yes, ma'am.
What kind of colors can you use with the concrete to maybe help it blend in with the environment more?
What's your favorite color?
Well, it's such a green park, and what the big complaints are from neighbors, residents, everybody that's against the skate park is that you're taking away the greenery. Can you use green on the concrete without ruining the different transitions of the different jumps? And
it can be layered too. When I say that, the foreground can be the foliage. Let me just go to this one concept right here. So if this gray was taken out here, looking across the street, there could be some earth, little slight earth, mounting, nothing too, it doesn't look like a big earth, but imagine like kind of like a oval shape with some landscape here. Looking across, you just see the greenery. You can have it where across the profile you don't even really see the much of the park. You'll see everyone's from the waist up going through there. But if you don't want to see concrete, or we can break it up with some green areas, kind of layer the park. That might be an idea to break it up so it doesn't look like a basketball court where it's just like one big open concrete.
That's a huge concern for people that the park is a byway. It's actually part of the Molly Stark byway. And people come into town and they want people to see Brattleboro as a green area, not a big. They don't want to see the first park, a big concrete area there.
People see different shades of greens in real natural kind of plant kind of
right,
greens.
And would that ruin anything for the skaters trying to get different transitions and what that would feel like or look like?
I mean, we can keep the actual concrete more, earth tones, and then we do have parks that do have green concrete. We just also don't want to make it look like it's, someone's fake AstroTurf porch, or where sometimes it can take off. I'd rather have, some brick patterns and some, some earth tones, and then really work on the foreground foliage where you're looking across. And that's why it'd be great to walk around the park and really see it from the perspective, and actually walk and say, maybe like from where Carol is to myself is more of an oval, landscaped, area that kind of does an initial visual blocker of the park. Not that you want to try to block everything, but it will, if that theme kind of goes throughout the park, and also used for incorporated seating, where those mounds are even kind of cut out with some built-in, artistic benches.
And do people want it to look more modern, or do they want it to look more artsy or rugged, or, that would be a good question.
That's a very good question. Does anyone want this to look more historical, or more like, more of a artistic plaza, more artistic or more historical, or those might be some really bad words to use, but,
Well, Brattleboro is a very artistic community.
Right.
And I think that would be in keeping with the whole tone of the town. I mean, we have historic areas too, but I think it'd be kind of hard to make a skate park look historic.
So I'm hearing that anything we do with maybe the earth or some of the concrete work, artistic but not corny, kind of like tasteful, where maybe not everything just. We want to get away from that gray rectangle,
right?
But have it as functional as the gray rectangle. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Have it be in the shape of a cow.
Black and white, right?
Yeah.
I was thinking, I thought about this many times before, but having murals painted, but then again I don't know if they make some sort of paint that, because everybody knows, any skateboarder in here knows that paint on concrete gets a little slickery, and yeah, you like that word, slicker? But anyways, but I was saying like murals would be really cool as opposed to it would blend in, and I was thinking that some of the older people would probably appreciate, so it's just not a concrete blob. Like I said, when you first come in, I understand you wouldn't want to make the concrete, but it is kind of up in the cut from the trees. Then also another thing I wanted to mention is, when they were talking about the seating or benches for stuff, is kind of like the Little League field. This is more of a fundraiser, kind of off the topic here, but have like the Little League field has all the signs for people like who donated money to the field. You could somehow incorporate like a brick with a store or something to raise some more money, or like have a bench with a company name on the back or something, some sort of way to incorporate that with with more fundraising purposes. But I'm definitely down with having some colors in them.
I've worked on projects where, if you have the castle place kind of benches that are also working as retaining walls for the grass area, the front end of it is where, working with an artist where you can kind of create the profiles and you number the different areas. The community breaks the color mosaics, and everyone kind of does their own mosaic, imprint on the, on the front of the benches, all the way down to, selling 1,000 bricks for $100 each for the entry, and $100,000 in one weekend. There's, so it could be a mix between fundraising, but it sounds like maybe we don't want to have it like a Little League field, but something, like what you're saying. Right. Yeah, bricks or benches, that's very subtle. Yeah. But at least when people donate, they feel like, hey, you know what, I see a little bit of what I donated. I see my name there, or I see that bench, or people are more apt to donate into landscape and seating areas and other amenities than an actual skate park.
Especially if they're going to advertise.
Very simplistically, I would like to make sure that the benches have backs on them, so that those of us that actually sit on them and want to be comfortable are able to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. There are a lot of nursing moms there that would like to.
No, I know. But there are three things, and they're kind of related to next time's discussion that has to do with the larger concept of the park and the specifics of it. The select board, when it gave out the contract for contracting with you to do the design, it also indicated a specific number of criteria that needed to be attended to.
Right.
Number one, I think that we need to make sure. Huh?
Was it with the noise, the trees, the
public restrooms, the adequacy and quality and placement of the play area, safety, for example. What about kids going down Union Hill? Is there some way, for example, I just throw this out now, to make some sort of access from the back of the park down to Elliott Street, or down to whatever that next street is, halfway down, that might pull the kids to go down there rather than be tempted to go down. Now we know that some will go down Union Hill, but that's a major safety piece. But I just wanted to, the part that I'm concerned about, you don't know it, but the town got hit within the 1 month of the state going ahead, Department of Transportation, to put a bridge across Interstate 91 up here over the West River, and all of a sudden they said, oh, by the way, here's ideas about what we might do. What do you think? And we've got to know in 3 weeks.
Wow.
I need to feel that you and the Parks and Recreation, and all of us will set up an adequate process where you can bring all of these things, like what are you going to do about public needs, facilities? What are you going to do about safety, Union Hill? What are you going to do about, I want to see a design for that playground. I want to see Brattleboro Parks and Recreation create a design with an appended budget or whatever, or are they going to move the ones that are presently there over? I want to see those things attended to and not forgotten because they're the tail that doesn't get placed on the donkey, and then everybody gets left sitting quietly.
If I may interject on that, this might be my appropriate time to speak. I want to make sure that your concern that you brought up, that was brought up at the select board meeting, as a matter of fact, Ken is here who actually made the motion that night. And it is in the contract that is signed, which reads, the design process shall include addressing concerns regarding trees, quality of cement, noise abatement, view of the project, landscaping, ongoing costs on the part of the town, signage, and co-location of the existing lot, which was word for word, which was in the motion, and that is a part of the contract. So
absolutely, and I want to make sure that the process, if indeed the skate park does go here, as it appears that the select board has determined it will, save anything else happening, who knows, I want to make sure that there's an adequate process with enough time and opportunity for people to see the plans, ask for plans, to have them regenerated, and to come back so that there isn't this division or rancor after because the process hasn't been adequate or long enough or extensive enough. Not to put it off, but just to make sure that there is a process that's inclusive.
Yeah, and I have no problem. I'm in agreement with it, and I think you've got a very open-minded community, which I appreciate. That's why I'm like, let's meet. Let's walk. I think the next step is, tonight was more. Yeah. Is a let's get a little bit out here. Let's get some reaction. Let's get a little bit of the anatomy of the park. If I can walk away tonight just knowing that, hey, the skaters are thinking 60-40, and some of the transition, the rails, the gaps, a little bit of that anatomy. Then we can go a little bit. It's almost a little bit backwards, but we'll go for it if it makes sense. We're kind of going micro and then macro. Next meeting we can go macro down to the micro, and we can start by walking the park. I have no problem as a landscape architect working contextually on the park with Parks, the landscape architect, and trying to create something that integrates, and you have time to look at. I think everything needs to go before council anyways, right, Carol? I mean, with the design that we come up with anyways, I mean, it will go before council for review or comments.
It definitely has to go to the school board, who's the owner of the property, and then
okay.
it'll be a final.
Okay, once we got those opportunities, the site walk, and then we got a couple more design sessions too as well. So, hopefully after the next meeting we'll have something that'll show those exact issues that we need to address. Yes.
Two comments. The first, I would like to address this comment of Union Hill, which has come up, and it's obviously a concern for many people. From the point of view of a skater, it's a certain form of suicide.
Yes.
It's a hill that really people in their right minds would not consider. And personally, I don't consider the location of the park an inducement to take that risk. I understand that it might be circumstantially of concern, but in a sense, the onus of the park shouldn't be because of the proximity of this crazy ride, which somebody who has no experience, only somebody with no experience would take on. So I think we should make every effort to dissuade it, put a sign or whatever. But in a sense, it would be like putting a sign up on every bridge, just don't jump.
Right.
Because it's so prohibitive.
Right.
And so I don't want that to become a bugaboo.
Yeah, that hill, you better have a motorcycle helmet on, full leathers, and be laying on your back.
On the other hand,
Street
people
luge.
ski off the trails that ostensibly they shouldn't ski off. And there's a very small minority. So it's just trying to obviate the realities that are a part of living as opposed to denying that they're there.
Yeah.
But
Unfortunately, that type of skateboarding is not that attractive. Am I right?
Yeah.
It's not, it is literally like, we're going to jump off this bridge and hopefully the water is going to break. I mean, you will get wrecked.
The other piece I'd like to bring up, in this design and the other design, and in Bristol and Portland, there's no visible fence, which I think, from my point of view, is great because it makes it initially more integrated.
Yep.
I know that's a theme that's come up again and again. Can you talk about
And
that?
those that are familiar with, SEPTAD, crime prevention through environmental design, you look at those studies, anytime you put a fence and then you put the sheep herder hooks on, and then you add barbed wire, all of a sudden now people are more attracted, criminals are more attracted to that because they think you're trying to protect something, or whatever. If it just becomes part of the park, part of the walkways, part of the things we can roll in on your skateboard, scooter, whatever, just like any other sidewalk or downtown area, the difference is you won't get arrested here. You definitely got a more pleasant advice. Thank you, sir. I appreciate all your comments. Thanks for coming.
No, I
Yes,
think
sir.
we need to send a message of inclusivity by not having the fence and making it appear integrated. Just like you were saying, the theme you're hearing is integration and inclusivity, and by not having the fence that you're talking about, like in that way, it sends that message. And on a side note, whatever rails may be in the park, I mean, round rails, hey, that's the next step up. But I think square rails would be more advisable.
Right.
Just
Mike, you have another comment?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Well, adding on to the guy that just left, there is a trail behind Green Street School.
Okay.
It's like a bunch of steps, and then it's
Right,
straight up, like not like in 70-degree angle of like pavement. And then another one. I was wondering if like there would be any safe places to like put backpacks. Because kids could go there after school, do their homework, and then go skate.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering if there would be any safe places.
The comment was a safe place to put backpacks. So if you're going to go after schools or somewhere where you could place your your gear. I don't know if they'd be traditional lockers, but there is some other mechanisms. If it is bike racks or loop racks where you can lock up or take your bike pack through all your loops in your backpack. Hopefully, might be an option. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a little late. The door was locked out front. I didn't really realize that this is where it was actually happening. So I'm not sure what's already been addressed. First of all, I'm concerned that this meeting is sort of a step ahead of the legitimate town process because the select board hasn't really properly vetted this site yet. So that's one concern. As a procedural one. As a parent, I have a couple of concerns. One is that my son, although he's not skateboarding yet, he's fascinated by skateboarding, and I expect he will be. And I like the idea that there may be a park by the time he is old enough to do that. However, this site has some serious problems. I'm not going to be comfortable if he's going to a place that's unsupervised. And I want to make sure that he will be encouraged to wear safety gear, both by adult supervision and by, not having other kids who aren't wearing them. That's a piece of it. Another is that particular location it's the only little kid playground in town. It's in the shade in the heat of summer. The only one. And it is in a place where we could drive by and see if there were kids playing there, see if he had friends there before getting him out of his car seat and bringing him over. So it's a problem from that standpoint, eliminating that playground. It also dramatically changes the neighborhood in a way that I suspected but couldn't really appreciate until there was a trial run there, which I had no foreknowledge of, but I figured out really quickly from a block away and not in line of sight. I could hear that thing loud as, it was like it was right next to me. So, for many reasons, I don't think it belongs there, and I think this meeting here is jumping the gun, big time.
Well, what you did miss is the next meeting on October 25th at 5 o'clock. If you could be present, it'd be great. We're going to walk the park site. Right now, there's no.
Yeah, well, I accidentally walked the park site with the first walk of that park site, which also I had no foreknowledge of.
Right.
So it feels like, you know, the people who are sort of into promoting it get the word, and other people don't.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yeah, one thing is that the skate park down on Flash Street, the Boys and Girls Club, like you said, your kid obviously is
Yeah, there already is
over
one
18.
down there.
But you have, if you're under 18, and not clearly your kid's under 18, but that's where they are supervised, and you do have to wear a helmet down there.
Yeah.
So if you were a little worried about him, he could skate down there.
So we already have a skate park.
Well, where do we go? I'm saying, but nobody else. We're not.
So if you're over
allowed.
18, you're not allowed there.
Okay. That's the only thing. But I was going to say, if you were concerned with him having to wear a helmet and unsupervised, that would be a spot. That would be a better spot for him to skate. I was just pointing that out. I wouldn't know if you were aware of that.
And I just want to reiterate the purpose of this meeting today is a workshop for the skate park, the hips, banks, rails. No one's voting or agreeing whether this is the site, if this is where it's going to go. There's a council meeting. There's also the school board meeting. There's several meetings, but at least we want an opportunity to know what we're opposing, if that makes sense. Because there's also additional feedback we're talking about. This is not going to be a skate park. It's going to be a park you can skate in, a wheel-friendly, accessible environment, and also with fitness connection pathways around. So there's going to be a little bit more of a contextual integration. So the next meeting, we're going to start blowing this out into the context of the rest of the park. How does this affect the rest of the park? Where's the playground equipment going? Restroom, walkways, noise mitigation, all those other issues are going to be addressed. They could all be opposed.
Why does it need to displace the kids' playground?
The equipment that's there right now?
Yeah, why put it in a place that is already occupied? Why not put it in a place that's not occupied?
Carol, do you want to talk about that?
As Mike pointed out, this process tonight is about getting feedback on that site as far as the Crow lot goes. That's the agreement that's in place that the school board and the select board have agreed on that in that particular area, that particular 10,000 square feet. So anything different than that would have to be addressed with the select board and the school board. But this particular purpose of this meeting tonight is to gather input on how we can enhance that site there and how we can have everybody's concerns included in the process, which Mike has done a great job this evening, and pulling all that together. One thing that
Mike, could you answer the question, why is it not in another place? Why isn't it another part of that park? Or why aren't we talking about
that was
Memorial Park, where all that other kind of stuff is happening?
As I just stated, the select board and the school board had an agreement for that site, that particular area in that park. And that was negotiated with both the select board and the school board at the site and the location within that site, as far as that goes.
Carol, I understand that. I'm asking you, as the recreation director, why not Memorial Park?
That was something that was discussed a while ago, and I'd be happy to turn the mic over to Ken if you'd like it.
I want to know from you, why not Memorial Park?
That Living Memorial Park was discussed years ago, and the location and the setup was not anything that was going to be workable for the park, for the neighbors, and it was something that never got to this level. It was discussed at the rec board level, and it didn't go any further than that. Ken, you had your hand up? No.
So you answered it perfectly. Can we get back to talking about the design, which is why we're here? So anyway, I want to see, what are you going to have in the way of like quarter pipes and like, you know, I'd like to see like a lot of, I do want to see transition in the way of quarter pipes. And I mean, are you planning on you know, limiting it to just 3 or 4 feet above grade, or I mean, could we potentially have a 6-foot quarter pipe?
Yeah, no,
okay.
Using that back floor area, this one right here, if someone was going in here at 0 and you're already going down 3 feet right here, and you're coming up 3, this would be 6, and then you go 8, and then you can even have, you know, an oververt pocket corner, bring you up to 9 or whatever. So yeah, there'll be some challenging training in there is what I would like to see in there.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's what happened a little bit like that Lake Geneva one where you saw where it had the plaza and went back in there with the love seat in there, the oververt pocket, and kind of like the mega flow area. It started to proceed where we're doing more smaller, but it actually worked out pretty well with the integration of the actual park. And it's really kind of hard to see here. But yeah, this right here, you're like 9, 10 feet right here.
Yeah.
And then there's it's kind of hard to see, but there's a love seat that right in here, so this whips around here. So every pocket through, this is almost like a kidney. See that? Where you can kind of see the kidney shape, which was kind of mimicked off of I did the Encinitas kidney bowl at the Y. Designed and built that kidney bowl in Encinitas. So it's kind of mimicked off a little bit off the, almost like a mirror image. So it's like a flow into kidney.
Have you seen the Woodward, I imagine you have, the Woodward Target Plaza?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, that's a great...
That's something that you got your cantilever benches, your planters, your stairs, and whatever. So it's a little bit more, integrated in there.
What was the square footage of that last bowl?
That last bowl.
It's like 50 by 50.
That's like 14,000 square foot park.
No, not the park, just the bowl.
How many square feet?
Or just like perimeter.
It was
like 70 by 70 or
70 by 30, about 30. I mean, just like those actual kidney.
We got some questions.
Yes. Oh, sorry, sir.
That's okay. So can you talk more about, you were showing some other designs where they had, I guess it was more oceanfront where it had waves sandblasted in there. Can you talk more about kind of the artistic elements?
Sure.
We are a town that talks a lot about the arts and the importance of the arts here.
Mm-hmm.
And so the features of which Table 2 here has no input, but the more artistic elements and the design, how do you go about figuring that piece out?
With the artistic features, what happened with Encinitas was more or less making sure we have the mechanics of what all the skaters wanted from all the gaps, rails, ledges, the planters, the hips, the elements, and then it kind of transcended into more of the side profiles where these are two separate pours where they're two different caps, and the sandblasted patterns was kind of designed with the community on the relief forms and the sandblasting for the park. So they wanted to see something a little bit more artistic than just monolithic pouring. So, for example, in the next meeting when we come here, and if we have the general consensus on the ledges, stairs, the flow, and the walkways and how everything ties in, then we start kind of like building a cake. Then we'll start working on the icing on the aesthetics, and we can go as far as you want. But I'll tell you once again, when people start to see those type of aesthetics, and that's when the more of the fundraising and the excitement comes out, because your profile looking through there, it's not, I mean, this model doesn't show any of the trees because it's more or less for the skaters to just see the raw forms and edges and cantilevers of the benches. Like you said, in Woodward with the Target Park, you can see some similarities with the cantilever benches there. Then we started having fun, a little bit more fun. But yeah, we just don't want to come and do a standard gray empty koi pond looking park or a rectangular kind of pig pen fence facility. That's not a skate park. We want to do a park you can skate in and not get arrested. Yes, ma'am.
The way I visualize things is more three-dimensional. Is there any way to incorporate bringing what elements would look like in a three-dimensional sense? I know that it would be really hard to but just to have an idea of what the different bowls might look like, that love seat that you just talked about.
Look at the videos of them being skated.
Oh, yeah, I did look at some of them online. Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that if you wanted the PowerPoint to dissect it, like bowls, stairs, ledges. We could.
But actually, like a physical sculptural. I don't know if you have like anything that is travelable that you could look at. This is sort of. No. Okay.
But we will have this park in the 3D model superimposed on the site, so you know what it looks like from from eye level, at 5-foot eye level. Walking along that pathway, you'll be able to see multiple views into the park, so you know what it's going to look like. I think that's really critical. So once again, as the earlier gentleman said, not here in this park, not whatever. If something's going to get rejected, let's at least agree to know what we're going to reject. That's all I think would be a fair emphasis. Let's get the input from the end users. Let's model it. Let's have as much input. Let's be creative. Let's put it on the site. and let's see what we're rejecting or what we're approving. I mean, because you'd be surprised. Lake Geneva got rejected. Everyone lined up by over 100 people in the council chamber saying no, 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 no. And we finally went and did the 3D models and the presentations. The number one question was, well, where are you going to put the skate park? And like, no, that is the skate park. You know, they didn't know. They had no idea. Everybody wanted to oppose it, but no one knew what they were opposing. But once it got put in on the site and in 3D, everyone's looking across from the parking lot, and they're like, okay. So I see a couple of sculptural elements, but when are the ramps coming in, and when's the X Games showing up? And I mean, really, no one really knew what they're really opposing, because you know this whole wheel-friendly concept is so new that. You know, in Poplar Bluff in the historical downtown area, not here. And then once they saw the art walls coming in, pulling the colors from the historical movie theater and other elements, they go, oh wait, so this is going to get kids to exercise in Poplar Bluff. We have a huge obesity problem here. Kids aren't going out, and then all of a sudden, like, okay, then they started catching on, and you know, you wouldn't even believe that grand opening. I mean,
well, you know, for the younger kids, which is where, you know, my perspective is currently, you know, being able to have access with scooters or their bikes or even their sort of coasting bikes, having terrain that they can maneuver would be a real asset, because when you're driving by looking for where can my kid play today, I've got the glider bike in the back of the trunk. Oh, look, there's some kids out there trolling around. Let's join them.
well, if you don't design for it, I mean, I've done so many parks where it's skateboard only, and everyone says, you know, no bikes, no bikes, no bikes. But you have to design for the bikes because they're going to come in anyways. And then people are like, you know, like in a lot of other plazas in Los Angeles or whatever, it's like the protective edging's not done right. It's like, oh, it's just raw skateboarding only. Well, the abuse is so bad. It's like, you really don't think bikes are going to come in? Of course they are. And then it becomes this big battle or whatever. So knowing that is going to happen, some cities are breaking down the liability and the perception by just saying it's wheel friendly, not motorized, but a kid is going to roll through here on a scooter. You know, I mean, there's
What
no
about
way.
a snowmobile?
No snowmobiles. No snowboards.
What about pegs? I mean, you know, along the lines of, you know, I got no problem with bikes. That's great. You know, the more the merrier. But people using it. But you know, pegs can really take a toll on concrete. And
Right.
I'm sure you
And one of the keys for bike pegs and bike use is it's a little bit hard to see because this 3D model is a little bit obscured. But if you see most of the top ledging, if it's cantilevered away from the face of the wall, so the bikes slam up there and you get your sprockets or pegs, you know, hitting up against the edge. It's not like the old school, you know, ledge where it's just, you know, straight popsicle gray concrete with 2x2. Yeah, you're going to get thrashed ledges. It's almost like if you took a channel steel piece right there and you had it almost sideways, so you have your top protection, your side protection, and it cantilevers under. That's, you know, usually the best method for protection, you know, for the bike with the pegs on top.
What about bailing with the bike in the bowl though?
Make sure it's you know, steep enough or whatever, so that the bike ends up sliding down the wall. Put a sub box up on one side so they just continually, you know, end up on the sub box. I'm trying to think what part that is. Yeah, pool coping and everything else like that. Yeah, that's a whole nother issue.
Could you go back to your site plans for a second?
Yeah.
If you would, please?
This one?
No,
we got a
the
question
two
back
options.
here.
Good, Andrew.
I like how at Bristol they have like the skateboards and BMX on alternating days, and although the bikers don't 100% follow that, it's still like bikes are quiet and it's harder to like, they get in the way a lot. And I don't know if it's a rule or not, but sometimes they have like, if you go in the bowl, then you have to have the plastic pegs so that you don't chip away at the concrete.
Yeah, or some parks there's no pegs, period. Yeah. Can't ride the park with pegs. But programmatically, you know, for this meeting, we'll try to, you know, get a little bit more into you know, the programming of the park at a later time. In the back.
So yeah, the park is going to be for like every like bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, scooters. So the bikers are probably, I mean the guy left, but they're probably going to take us to street. Rollerbladers, it's possible, but it still is very, very dangerous. It's not like there aren't already bikers that are doing that right now. But so I did want to bring up that. The other thing is, a lot of times it gets lost. the whole there are I'm a rollerblader, so there's a lot of parks that are designed specifically for skateboarding, and there's a lot of stuff like flat rails that, I mean, you know, innovative skaters can do whatever they want on them, but yeah, round rails are really where it's at for rollerbladers. I just want to put that out, I guess.
Okay, so round rails as well as
Obviously
rails.
both, you know.
Yeah, but I would say mix it up.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the parks will mix it up.
Yeah.
Did everyone fill out the kind of the questionnaires where it had kind of the likes on a scale of 1 to 10, what you like, what you don't like, to just get some more feedback? Because when you fill those questionnaires out too, make sure you leave them over by the sign-in sheet when you go, so I can take those, and then the next meeting we can tally up the points, so you can also see, you know, on a graph what type of features were, you know, a higher rating, you know, over another. We're going to take the site restraints and considerations with the comments we got tonight. Talk about the overall park plan in the next meeting, and then just keep chipping away at it. It is a process, but we you know, we could sit and plan and say skate park here all we want, but if we don't know what the skate park is or what you guys want in it, it doesn't really make sense to, you know, continue. That's why I'm really happy you guys have a lot of feedback tonight. Yeah.
So the perimeter kind of walkway that they were talking about on the outside, if it's going, if you say in the left model there.
Yeah,
would that be just around the skate park, or why wouldn't that continue on the rest of the natural park?
Yeah, the whole park, it'll all be connected into one big fitness loop.
Right.
Yeah.
So then that sweeping S path that's there, that sweeping S path that's there, we almost lose that, and that would be more scalable space.
Yeah, I mean this right here, this might, you know, this could take a, you know, arc out this way, and you know, it could, you know, we'll just kind of make it connect. Maybe it does split where you're going down a path and then all of a sudden it goes smooth, you know, in for skateboarding, and then goes broom finish out for the walking, you know.
Could you snake around the whole path?
Yeah, no, I mean, make it a skatable path.
Yeah. I think that's my point as well, is like, you said something about 60-40 or whatever. It seems to me, from my sense of the community, it's more of a 50-50.
Okay.
If you looked at this place, the Shriners, it's sort of like a Brooklyn bank type setup with an elbow. So the beauty of it are not only are there tremendous sort of slope banks, but there's curbs which lead into other banks. So it's a great place for street skaters and vert skaters, and it's just endless flow. And I think everybody sort of has an appetite for that.
Right. It seems like you guys have like an all-terrain community where, I mean, yeah, like street skater, everyone hits some stairs and ledges, but if you also want to hit banks, ledges, curves, Jersey barriers, flow through there. It's not, you know, sometimes when we say tranny, I was just thinking like a perfect radius, or flow. Flow can incorporate, you know, all your banks, you know, as well through there. Yes, sir.
I was wondering for the bowl, if you can't, is there going to be like ways that you could get out of the bowl if you can't get enough speed to go over the coping and get back onto the ledge?
The top deck.
Or would it just be like open on one side?
We'll probably might have a roll-in area,
Yeah.
or where you can walk into the flow area through, you know, where this concept right here, this one is where you can literally come from grade and actually walk down, you know, down kind of like a rolled waterfall that goes down 3 feet deeper than the adjacent deck. Yeah. Where some parks where it's really steep or deep, we have stair sets or even notches in the side of the walls, you know, getting out, so you don't get trapped in there.
I have one more question, kind of regarding the walkway and even stair sets and stuff. Would there be a possibility that the whole area could be lit? Because it's lit now. And we had talked about it once, just as far as safety and having that whole perimeter lit up. Just to.
That was something that we had talked about with the neighbors, that the area would not be lit and the activity would not continue after dusk.
Walking or?
The area would not be lit after dark.
Is it a dawn to dusk park?
Dawn and dusk park, basically.
Oh, okay. I
But
thought
there's
you
a
were
lot
right
of
there now.
There's lights on timers for the basketball court that function at minimum. So the area would not be lit, because that is something that we have discussed right from the beginning of the onset through the DRB and everything. I certainly don't want to cut this short, but I know there's been a lot of great feedback out here tonight. You know, it's been, I think it's been a very inclusive process. Mike's done a wonderful job. Before I turn it off from Mike, Elizabeth has even done the better job. I imagine her fingers have just about had it, because I think she was hoping she was going to take a break about an hour ago. And I really appreciate her time. She did a great job, and she deserves a second round of applause. So with that being said, you know, Mike deserves one as well. But I want to